We may become persecuted, but we're not forsaken. We may feel like we're struck down, but we are not destroyed. It is because of the presence of God. There's a story about a woman named Mary Kay Ash. Perhaps some of you may recognize that name, Mary Kay, the cosmetic lady, the one who has built an empire for herself. Mary Kay began in the corporate world, and she began to slowly climb the ladder of corporate America. She climbed up that ladder so far till she was a part of the board. But as she looked around the board, there weren't very many women on the board. And after a while, they began to talk about Mary Kay around the table, as she would begin to reflect her ideas of how she thought the company should be run. And they'd say, "There you go, Mary Kay, thinking like a woman again." Or maybe they would say other kind of nasty little comments about her. We know how hurtful those comments in our own lives can be. So Mary Kay decided that she would retire from the company, and she did. She retired, she took her retirement money, and she left. Shortly after her retirement, she decided, I'm going to build me a company. I'm going to make my own company. I'm going to be my own boss. So she went to her lawyer, and she told her lawyer to draw up the papers so that she could begin this company. And the lawyer said to her, "Oh, Mary Kay, you might as well just chuck your money down the garbage can. Don't do that. Don't go that direction." How discouraging. Have you ever been discouraged in life by comments someone else has said? She went to her accountant. She told him what she was planning to do. He told her just about the same thing as the attorney told her. But Mary Kay was determined that she was going to build her company. And so she asked her husband if he would become the administrator of the company while she assembled the designs of the packaging, all of the right products and all of the right chemicals so that she could begin to make this cosmetic company work. One month before the company was to open, Mary Kay's husband died of a massive heart attack. Another setback, another disappointment, another obstacle that stood in her way. But she was able to look beyond those obstacles, to look beyond the setbacks, to look beyond the disappointments, and to move forward. And today, Mary Kay has a multi-billion-dollar company because she would not allow the setbacks. She would not allow the obstacles. She would not allow the weaknesses in her own self and in others to set her back. Paul is reminding us this morning, through the example of not only Mary Kay, but through the example of Paul, that God is interested in how you and I handle our disappointments, our troubles, our fears, our obstacles. When we call on the name of God, God gives us that window of opportunity in which we can grow, which we can mature, which we can find ourselves being strengthened by the very things that would cause us to skip and to stop in our lives. Pressing on is what Paul would call it. Pressing on for the gold is what he talks about in 1 Corinthians. If we determine in our minds, in our weaknesses, in our obstacles, our struggles and in our troubles, that we can make lemonade. Life may be bitter. Life may be hard. Life may be difficult. But you and I can make lemonade. And how do we do that? One of the things we can do is that we prepare for failure. Our world doesn't teach us how to prepare for failure. But Paul was prepared for failure. He was prepared that knowing that even if he failed at what he was doing, God was not going to abandon him. He was able to push forward by God's strength. Did you know that the world considers that Jesus was a failure? As he hung on the cross, they considered, he failed. He failed at what he was going to do. But God didn't see it as a failure. God saw it as an opportunity, a stepping stone. A stepping stone for not only Jesus, but for you and I. Ask yourself, am I prepared for struggles? Am I prepared for troubles? How do I prepare? Paul says, when we refocus our attitude and our strength and begin to see that we're just clay pots, but by the power and by the glory and by the light of God, we, you and I, with the help of God, can overcome, can get victories. We can make a difference in our own lives and in our world, in spite of our weaknesses. There's a poem that says this: when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trotting seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing down a bit, rest, if you must, but don't quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turn about when he might have won and struck it out. But don't give up. Through the pace, though the pace seems slow, you may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victory's cup. And he learned too late when night slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tin of a cloud of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be nearer when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. Another idea comes from a song that will be played in just a few moments. It's by John Tesh. And his song is entitled, I'm Trading My Sorrows for the Joy of the Lord. That's what Paul is talking about. Trading our sorrows, trading our hurt, trading our disappointments for the joy of the Lord.